In the future, the most brutal punishment known to mankind was invented. They ripped open the man's shirt, smeared lubricant over his arm, and worked it in with mechanical precision. Then, they hung a timer around his neck, locked a steel ring around his upper arm, opened a valve, and shoved his arm into a freezing chamber. The man screamed in agony, but in seconds, he went silent. The sub-zero temperature had completely numbed him. When the countdown around his neck hit 0, the arm was slowly withdrawn, now completely frozen. A commander approached, inspected the icy limb with a spoon, and the next second, a 100-pound hammer came crashing down. What kind of place would do this? A place where the wealthy live in paradise, and the poor suffer in hell. Every day, the rich indulged in luxury and decadence, while the poor were forced to survive on black paste made from cockroaches. For 17 years, they were crammed into filthy rear compartments of a massive train. And once a child reached a certain height, soldiers came and took them away. No one knew where they went, or what was done to them. One man refused to stand by and watch his son be taken. He charged at the soldiers, threw a shoe at the elite in desperation, trying to stop them. But his resistance was meaningless against their overwhelming power. Not only did he fail to save his son, his entire train car suffered the punishment. And then, in front of everyone, his arm was shattered with a hammer. That event became the spark. The poor, long suppressed, could no longer hold back their fury. They began to organize. One day, Steve approached a soldier and noticed something odd. The gun appeared to be empty. Without hesitation, he grabbed it and pressed the muzzle to his own head. Click. Nothing happened.
You've got no bullets!
Years of violence had drained the guard's ammo. The guns were just props now. Hope returned. The crowd united, lifted a steel beam together, and surged forward. Chaos erupted. They overpowered the guards, burst out of the car, and made their way to the train's prison, rescuing an Asian father and daughter in the process. These two were key to the rebellion. The father was a master locksmith. The daughter had an uncanny ability. She could sense how many people were on the other side of any steel door.
Nobody there.
Under their guidance, they cracked open the first heavy gate, and the girl's prediction was spot on. Encouraged, they stormed through 4 more. But just as the 5th gate was about to open, the girl froze. "Don't open it," she cried. But it was too late. The gate slid open, and instead of calm, they were met by an eerie silence. Inside stood masked men, holding axes, their eyes completely covered. Why blind themselves? The rebels were puzzled. Then, the lights went out. One by one, the car's lamps were extinguished, and in perfect sync, every masked soldier activated a night vision headset. The train had entered a tunnel. Caught in the pitch black, Steve and the others had no chance. It was a massacre. Their screams filled the car. They were powerless, stumbling in the dark, cut down like cattle. Steve shouted, "We need fire." The message was passed down the line. At the tail of the train, the call was heard. Torches were lit. Flames were passed forward from one car to the next, illuminating the train with the light of resistance. The sight of fire stunned the rich. The poor were fighting back. 17 years of suffering, now unleashed in full force. In the chaos, Steve captured a high-ranking woman. The train finally exited the tunnel, and the poor, at great cost, emerged victorious. But their victory was steep. The floor was littered with the bodies of friends. Most of their strongest had fallen. An elder warned Steve not to push forward, but Steve refused to stop. "We're fighting for freedom," he said. "There's no turning back." So the elder stayed behind, allowing Steve and 4 others to push on. Each new car they entered was more shocking than the last. There were ecosystems, floor-to-ceiling aquariums, rooms full of meat, and Michelin star meals. No cockroach paste, just indulgence. Steve, enraged, shoved a spoonful of black paste toward the elite woman. "Taste what we've been eating." While the children of the poor were being stolen, the rich were raising theirs in elite classrooms, being fed twisted ideologies from birth.
I heard old tales sectioners were lazy dogs that all doing their own shit.
At lunchtime, trays of eggs were brought in for the rich children. One bald man even ordered some sent to the tail section for the poor to enjoy. It was the first time in 17 years they'd tasted real food. Just when hope seemed real, the betrayal hit. The rich tore off their masks, pulled out hidden guns from food carts, and opened fire on the poor. Steve acted fast. While others ducked, he signaled a companion, who hurled a hidden blade. It landed squarely in the teacher's neck. She dropped dead. But in the tail section, the poor weren't so lucky. Caught off guard, they had no chance to fight back. From the surveillance feed, Steve watched helplessly as the last elder was gunned down. His rage exploded. He grabbed the teacher's submachine gun and turned it on the high-ranking woman, ending her life without a second thought. With his small team, Steve pushed deeper. They passed luxury salons, bespoke suit shops, glittering nightclubs, all hollow illusions of excess. Steve wasn't tempted. He had one goal: find the conductor and make him pay. After nearly 10 minutes, they reached the final steel door, but it could only be opened from the inside. Even the locksmith couldn't crack it. Frustrated, Steve pounded on the door. That's when the locksmith pointed to a different door, one that led to the outside world. "This is my real goal," he said. He had discovered something. 10 years ago, he saw that the snow near a crashed plane had started to melt. He believed the world outside might be livable again. For years, he had collected rare chemical elements. With them, he created a bomb strong enough to blast open the door and earn freedom for himself and his daughter. But just as he finished explaining, the steel door swung open. A woman stepped out and struck him down, then turned to Steve. "Come in," she ordered. Inside, Steve finally came face to face with the man behind it all, the train conductor. He wore casual clothes and calmly prepared dinner, completely unfazed by Steve's presence. Steve asked, "Why did you do this? Why divide us like animals?" The conductor didn't hide the truth. He revealed everything. For 17 years, every uprising had been carefully staged by him. The death toll was calculated. The violence was controlled. Because the train's resources were limited, population control was essential. He used rebellion as a form of balance. Even the elder Steve had admired. He had been working with the conductor all along. Every act of resistance was orchestrated. But this time, due to a mistake, Steve's rebellion had gone further than planned. And for that, the elder had paid with his life. As for why Steve was brought here alone, the conductor was old. He wanted Steve to take his place. The revelations shook Steve to his core. His hatred began to crack. Then, the locksmith's daughter burst in, asking for matches. She was ready to blow open the escape door. But to her shock, Steve blocked her path. Had he been brainwashed? Just then, she heard something below. She and Steve opened a hatch. What they saw horrified them. A small child, one of the missing, was crammed in a dark, tight space, operating the train's engine manually. The truth hit them hard. The train wasn't powered by some miracle of science. It wasn't eternal. It ran on the lives of stolen children.